What's going on, Marquette? Welcome to another edition of Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Tonight we have some men's basketball, women's basketball, and in addition, lacrosse. You don't want to miss it because the fun starts right now.
Good evening, Marquette. I'm Kevin Wells.
And I'm Alex Bilbrath. We're going to kick things off with some men's basketball action.
Our own Dean Bibbins was on hand to recap Senior Day for the Golden Eagles in their final game at the BMO Harris Bradley Center. Let's see how they fared against the Creighton Blue Jays.
In Marquette's final regular season game at the BMO Harris Bradley Center, Marcus Howard and Andrew Rousey combined for 51 points on the afternoon en route of a crucial victory over Creighton.
Number 30 was honored pregame for his contributions to the Golden Eagles in his 2 years with the program, and Marquette was looking to end their 30 years at the Bradley Center on a high note.
The games that have been played in here have created memories for families, fans, the entire Marquette community that people will go to their grave with. And to finish it off with a win today, especially in the fashion with which we won, was a fitting ending for a building that has been such a big part of the Marquette program.
In the first half, Creighton capitalized on Marquette's 5 turnovers and built a solid lead going into the break, but it could have been more had they not shot 3 of 8 from the free throw line. Kyrie Thomas scored 19 of Creighton's 42 first half points on 8 of 10 shooting, while also adding 2 steals. Thomas was, however, limited in the second half as the Golden Eagles held the Blue Jays star to only 5 points.
They got to him on the catch on some of the three-point shots. Kyrie got to the rim. There was some contact sometimes, and we weren't able to get to the free throw line. And when we did in the first half, we didn't make them. But Kyrie had a good game. He played well defensively, and obviously had a big first half.
Marquette's stellar shooting after halftime propelled them to victory. They seemingly couldn't miss as they shot 15 of 26 from the field and 10 of 12 from beyond the arc. A key shot in the Golden Eagles' win came from none other than Rousey as he pulled up from the Al McGuire logo with the defender nearby. This shot gave Marquette a 4-point lead, and they didn't relinquish it for the remainder of the game.
Just to be able to give Andrew a fitting end to his outstanding career is we've really focused on this whole week, and us as a team we're so happy that he was able to end the way he wanted to, and he played outstanding.
I just saw both guys go, and when you're just out there playing, you don't really realize where you're at. So for me, I kind of realized once the ball was in there, I was like, that was pretty deep, but I think it's going in. So
Marquette's NCAA tournament hopes now lie in the prospects of the Big East tournament. A win or two might steer the selection committee in favor of the Golden Eagles. Reporting live from the Bradley Center for the very last time, I'm Dean Bibbins, Marquette Wire Sports.
Great fitting end to that game, but all right, Alex. Marquette's win over Creighton, obviously huge. Can they get a win against DePaul, and will they be in if they do get this win?
Can they get a win against DePaul? Yeah. Will they get in? No. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
Well, the other bubble teams, they just have stronger resumes. You look at UCLA, who beat Arizona and Kentucky. You look at Texas, who's beaten Texas Tech. They've beaten West Virginia. And then you look at Alabama, who's 4-1 against top 25 teams. And then you look at Marquette, whose RPI is 57 and just lost to DePaul. I just don't think it's enough to get us in.
Well, we'll agree to disagree on this one because I definitely think that they're good enough to get in. They play in the toughest conference in basketball. This is the best Big East conference we've seen in years. The 6 guys that made the All-Big East team are going to be first-round picks to early second-round picks. They're all going to make the draft. So, that being said, Marquette's key losses, Georgia, the DePaul loss, and then the St. John's loss. The only reason I want to say that St. John's loss won't be pinned too much against them is Shamorie Ponds went off. It was on the road. This is a loss at home. Then you got some problems. But their RPI, like you said, is at 57. Their chances of getting in before the win on Saturday were 45%. That only goes up after that win. So I think they're going to get in. This also being said, 2 key players coming back for bubble teams, Michael Porter Jr. and Bonzi Colson. So Missouri and Notre Dame, respectively, both good teams around Marquette's level. Right. They win their tournaments. Oh, boy. Now you got some problems, and you got some questions being asked on the committee.
Well, I'll tell you what. USC, UCLA, Syracuse, Texas, Louisville, Utah, and Missouri all lose. We're in. All right. Well, I've got a question for you now, Kevin. If Marquette doesn't make the tournament, where does this program go from here? And is Wojo on the hot seat?
Well, there's no question, Alex, that Wojo's on the hot seat. I don't think anybody can really debate that or not. Where does this program go? It's really going to stay in the same path. We know who they're going to have next year. You got Brendan Bailey. You got Joey Hauser. The Hauser brothers are going to play together. They played really well in high school. You got Marcus Howard. This is Wojo's plan. He's going to have a chance to see it through. He's not going to get fired if they don't make the tournament this year. He's not going to get fired if they do. As stupid as that sounds. His job is safe for next season. After next season, there's going to be a lot of questions. Will they make the tournament? Will they be atop the Big East if, let's say, Jalen Brunson, McCall Bridges, and all these guys go to the draft? The Big East is kind of more open. Marquette's got to finish in one of those top 3 spots, which they should next year, I think. So if they don't do that, though, oh boy, then it gets a little murky.
Absolutely. And if you can't win with the Hauser brothers, it's going to be tough. I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I mean,
Joey's awesome.
He's so good. Him and Sam played 2 years together, won 2 state titles. I mean, the kid knows how to win.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great recruiting method, and that's another reason I think they'll keep him on is his recruiting has just been top of the line.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just a question of putting it together.
Correct.
So final question now, Marcus Howard and Andrew Rousey, the big dogs on the court for Marquette, both left off the Big East first team list. Does that seem fair to you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Big East is way too good for these 2 guys to get up there. I think there were 4 or 5 guards, if you count Bridges, to be up there on the first team ballot. And it's just really tough in the best conference in basketball for Andrew Rousey and Marcus Howard, 2 great guards, but just not good enough to be in the Big East.
Yeah, I'd say they're both great guards as well, and it's a shame that they're not going to get him. Marcus's time is coming. Next year, he'll probably, regarding any injuries, he'll probably be up there in that first team. But when you got Jalen Brunson, Trayvon Blewett, Kalen Martin, Shamori Pons, come on, man. I mean, those guys all top of the Big East. Shamori Pons averages the most points in the Big East, and then you got a center, Delgado, who averages the most rebounds. You can't take these guys off for just another 3-point shooter. I mean, as good as they were last year and as good as they were this year, unfortunately, it's just too stacked of a Big East. Jalen Brunson, obviously, probably going to be a top 3 candidate for Player of the Year this year, with Marvin Bagley and maybe Trey Young or DeAndre Ayton, one of those guys.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you just don't see it. It's unfortunate for those guys, but, I mean, Marcus Howard gets second team. That's where he deserves to be right now, and then Rousey gets honorable mention.
Good for him.
Yeah, yeah.
The senior season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They both had great years. No complaints from me.
Absolutely.
So coming up next, we've got some women's basketball, so don't you dare change that channel, because we'll be right back. to Golden Eagles Sports Report. Me and Alex on hand here. The women's basketball team playing in the Big East Championship against DePaul currently right now in the Wintrust Arena in the Windy City, looking to defend their title. The score is currently 61-36 with about 5 or so minutes left there in that third period. Well, the women's team has played 2 Big East tournament games and now moves into the championship game for a second year in a row, but it hasn't been without some close games. Let's break down their performance so far in the tournament.
Yeah, I think their tournament, they've played pretty well so far. I think Blockton.
Yeah, up until right now. They're getting blown out in the
it's-
championship game, 61-36. But
I haven't seen the stats, but I mean, before this game at least, Blockton's proved to be the Big East Player of the Year. I think she's amazing. She's averaging 22 points and 7.5 rebounds per game. I mean, she was the reason that they beat Creighton. And what do you think?
I just think they're such a complete team, and I really just enjoy watching them play because they're 1 through 5. They're a guard-heavy lineup, and when you have a girl like Alizea Blockton, that's your do-it-all player. She's so smooth from beyond the arc. She can drive the lane, and then you have a scrappy player like Amani Wilborn, and then you've got a girl who can play the low post and just bully her way in Erica Davenport. Yeah. I mean, just 1 through 5, they're just so complete. Unfortunately, right now, just not able to defend the three-point line. They're getting beat pretty bad by DePaul out there, probably the best three-point shooting team in women's basketball. They have girls that just can shoot the hell out of the ball. I mean,
absolutely.
So right now, not doing so hot, but we'll see what happens. I mean, hey, that's why there's 4 quarters.
Well, in their championship bout, they take on DePaul once again. Not looking too hot. The Golden Eagles split the regular season series, however. Let's discuss why Marquette might be down.
Well, I think we touched on it just a little bit ago. The three-point line and defending the three-point line can be difficult against a team that spreads the floor so well. And with DePaul, they have a sequence of plays that they like to run where they don't like to shoot a lot of mid-range shots. They love to drive the lane, and they love to shoot threes. And it's worked because they have one of the best offenses in the country. Marquette, on the other hand, when they don't hit the threes, it's tough. I mean, only 39 points is really low for them, a team that averages 80 points a game. Right. DePaul, obviously, right ahead of them with 82 points per game, but when you're not hitting the threes, I mean, it's tough to win in basketball nowadays. You see the NBA doing like this. You see men's basketball. It's definitely going towards a three-point game, and DePaul has that down to a science.
Right, absolutely. And, I mean, they won by 12 points their first game. They lost by 12 points their second game. So it really was a toss-up, and I just think that DePaul has got the advantage here.
So the Golden Eagles had one of their best seasons under Coach Keeger. There are a lot of breakout performances. So in your opinion, who has been the biggest difference maker this season on that team?
I mean, I'm going to go with just the grade A answer. You have to go with Blockton.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she's just an amazing player, rightfully so, the Big East Player of the Year. But her supporting cast is also, they're really big. They're really important. I think that you look at Wilbur and how many points she scores in the Big East tournament so far. I think that she's done really well supporting Blockton in the tournament.
Well, yeah, you mentioned Omani Wilborn there. She's such a scrappy player, and I think she's just a great role player because, one, she plays on the defensive end so well. She's not afraid to go up, get those extra scrappy points. She's not afraid to go up and challenge a girl who's twice her size. I mean, we've seen her do this before, but I'm definitely going to go with Blockton myself. She's the best player on that team just because she just knows what to do. She can play every position, basically. I mean, she's like a Swiss Army knife. She's a jack of all trades.
I completely agree.
So, unfortunately, not doing too hot, like you said tonight. Right. But guess what? She's been the difference maker all year long.
And Coach Keeger and Coach Wojo have been at Marquette's campus for the same time now, 4 years. And after a couple of rebuilding years, both teams have made tournament bids last season. But this season, the women's team is projected to make the big dance, and the men's team is projected to go to the NIT. And honestly, which coach do you think has done a better job?
No question it's been Coach Keeger. I mean, a Big East championship last year. I mean, that's incredible with a team made up of almost all sophomores. I mean, that's unheard of, especially in a conference that's all basketball in the Big East. So Keeger's definitely done a great job over there. She's doing a great job this year as well. They're going to have, obviously, the #1 seed. They won the Big East regular season battle. They're going to be in the tournament again this year. Not saying Wojo hasn't done a great job. He's done a great job recruiting and getting guys on his team. The thing that bothers me about him are his in-game updates and what he likes to do and his substitutions. And for instance, we saw this a couple weeks ago in that loss to DePaul when Rousey and Howard were playing almost that entire second half. They weren't playing off of each other. They were playing selfish, pulling up all the time, missing. Right. Throw your guy Greg Elliott and Jamal Kane a bone. Get them out there. Come on. Like, those guys, those guys are all hustle players, and they're going to be huge next year. I mean, with the absence of Rousey, and once he graduates, you're going to need a guy to fill those roles. And I just think Wojo's done a really nice job of recruiting. Obviously, with Joey Hauser next year, this is why we said his job was safe.
Right.
It's all going to be dependent on what they do more of next year than this year. As crappy as that is to say, next year matters a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think you look at progress. Obviously, Wojo went from his first year, us being in 9th place, and then 7th, and then last year tied for 3rd. But now we kind of fell back as to 6th. Like you were saying, he doesn't necessarily know how to play Rousey and Howard because they're two really, really great players. And then you look at Keeger, who went 8-5-3-1. She's obviously done a better job.
So let's get right to the point, Alex. So how do you see this women's season ending? NCAA tournament, Sweet 16, Final Four. What do you think?
Well, honestly, we saw them play against some of the best teams in the country. We saw them play Notre Dame. We saw them play Tennessee, both of which went into overtime.
Yeah.
So I think that we can hang with the big dogs.
I do too.
It just depends how we play.
I think they are a big dog, and I'm going Sweet 16
Yeah.
for the Marquette women. But that's all the time we have for right now. Good luck to both teams as they progress into March. It's one of the best months in all of sports. But let's have a look at the top 5 plays of the week before we head to break. From the Valley to the final game at the Bradley Center, it was sure hard to choose our favorites. But let's get right to it. Start at a little Valley Field action. Number 5, Grace Gabriel. Little spin move here. Our own Nathan DeSutter on the call. She goes, hits the twine, drops her stick, more like drop the mic, her 4th of the night.
Number 4, Charlotte McGuire comes up on the left to score for Marquette's 23rd goal of the game, a program record, which is also her 6th goal of the game, tying a program record.
Here we go. Oh boy. She got the facial from Natisha Heidemann, one of the smallest players on the court, plays with all heart. Allie Green, get out the way.
Number 2, Andrew Rousey from downtown, bang, from the logo, jogs back like it's nothing.
Great senior day for him. Here's Amani Wilborn last night against Creighton. Spin cycle, left hand, she scores and won. She had a great game last night, and Marquette obviously advancing to their 2nd straight title game. Not going too well, but let's head to break right now. We'll be right back with a little bit of lacrosse action, so keep it right here. Are these all stories? Okay, so it's not like a debate. We're just reading off the prompter? Okay, cool. Golden Eagle Sports Report. For the final time tonight, you saw a teaser in the top plays, but the women's lacrosse team rushed right past Niagara on Saturday with a program record 23 goals, including a single game record, 6 goals from Charlotte McGuire. Nathan DeSutter has the story from the Valley.
Cutting in and scoring is Charlotte McGuire.
That was the program record 23rd goal for the women's lacrosse team and a 23-15 win over the Niagara Purple Eagles that was filled with record-breaking performances.
Being able, to come back in a real short turnaround after Notre Dame and come out with a nice big win is great.
The Golden Eagles scored 16 goals at halftime, a program record. Charlotte McGuire tied the single-game record with 6 goals, and Lindsay Wilcox netted her first career hat trick. But despite all the offensive success, Coach Black said they still have plenty to improve on.
We put up 16 goals in the first half, so I think offensively we came out strong. But again, our defense came out a little bit slow, so we just got to put it all together, both ends of the field.
The Golden Eagles head to Evanston, Illinois this Saturday to take on 12th-ranked Northwestern, a matchup Coach said they always look forward to.
We love playing against Northwestern. They're a really tough team. I think our team is thirsty for that win, and I think all 4 out of 5 wins in this past games have been good and will help us say we can do this.
The men's lacrosse team also had a doubleheader this weekend with games against number 5 Ohio State and Bellarmine. Nathan DeSutter recapped the action.
It was a weekend of ups and downs for the Marquette men's lacrosse team. On Friday, it started out with this game-winning goal to upset 5th-ranked Ohio State. On Sunday, they laid an egg against Bellarmine. The Golden Eagles held the 2-goal advantage throughout most of the game, but Bellarmine tied the game at 6 and eventually won in double OT. But at least the win against Ohio State was a saving grace for the weekend. Marquette went down 2-0 early, but came back and battled in a back-and-forth affair. In overtime, the game-winning goal came off the stick of John Wagner.
Found out a lot about these young kids, and it was a moment for them to step up and learn what it's like to play against a great opponent and respond.
First time all game, I got the short stick on me, so took advantage of it. They played the left hand well, kind of rolled back to my right, closed my eyes, and shot it.
They're back in action this Saturday at home against Robert Morris.
While we spend most of our time focused on the players, the students that pour into the Bradley Center for each home game deserve just as much credit for creating a loud and crazy atmosphere over the weekend. Our own Nathan DeSutter featured some most passionate Marquette students, the Front Row Fanatics.
It's the best seat in the Bradley Center. And for every home game this season, it belonged to one person. Meet Maggie Hill.
During the game, when you had Rousey, Sam, and Marcus walking towards us, and they're making eye contact with you, and you can tell that your reaction to them helps pump them up. Go, Sam! You really feel like the refs hear you, the players hear you. You can't sit anywhere else after you sit here.
But ending up in these seats isn't easy. You can't purchase them or have someone hold them for you. Instead, you have to wait in line. About 3 hours before tip-off and 2 hours before Wojo threw out chicken sandwiches, Maggie and her small group of fellow front rowers were camped out in the doorway. But a 3-hour wait is nothing. Maggie's record is 9.
But last year, National Marquette Day was at 7 p.m., and we were here at 10 a.m. for that. But we were all just hanging out, and we had a good time.
And her season-long total is even more jaw-dropping.
I calculated it, and we waited outside for 52 hours this year.
But the wait is only the first step. Once you're into the stadium, the rowdiest fans are selected by Bradley Center staff to lead a cheer. Then, it's a foot race to the front row. Luckily, Maggie's been here enough times, so she doesn't have to be the fastest.
Don't push, Let Maggie go.
And a big reason for that is all the new friends and great connections she's made throughout the season, especially in the front row, a group at the beginning of the year that was simply a collection of strangers.
Seems like most of us knew one person, and we'd show up together. Some people didn't know anyone, and we just have a Facebook group that we communicate on, and once somebody consistently shows up early, then we add them to the group.
But oddly enough, the man right by her side, her boyfriend Matt Fittis, is an MSOE student. Though Maggie doesn't mind, as long as he doesn't mind her obsession with Sam Hauser.
Yeah, I mean, I try and keep it on the DL just because, you don't know how some Marquette people are going to feel about a non-student sitting up here, but I'm always trying to cheer my heart out.
While Marquette might not run in his blood, Maggie's passion and family connections to Marquette is enough for the both of them. She's a second-generation student. Both her parents went here, and both of her older sisters were cheerleaders. While Maggie might not be sporting pom-poms in the traditional sense, she definitely shares the same sense of spirit. From the BMO Harris Bradley Center, I'm Nathan DeSutter, Marquette Wire Sports.
But it's not just the students that make the Bradley Center home. Our own Andrew Goldstein featured Mark Whitney, a College of Communication professor, his friend Brian Curtin, and their shaped relationship with Marquette basketball. Take a look.
Mark Whitney is an adjunct professor in the Diedrich College of Communication. In fact, I still think I owe him an assignment from 2 years ago. Excuse me. But Whitney's history with Marquette and with Golden Eagle basketball stretches back far further than when I had him as a teacher.
Well, I will say, I actually signed homework last night, so I'm responsible for 33 empty seats.
Ever since graduating in 1987, Whitney's been coming to home games with his friend Brian Curtin, who makes the 90-minute drive from Chicago to join him at the BMO Harris Bradley Center.
This is sort of a bonding thing as much as anything else. It's a chance, literally, for us to be together 15 or 20 times a year.
Mark and Brian became fast friends while living in Schrader Hall.
We just knew that he fit in. He's a good guy, and he's a lot of fun to hang out with, so we just made sure that we were always in the same place at the same time when the games came around.
Give it up. Throw it down.
During the evening, Whitney comments on everything from the game
Oh, nice.
to Matt Helt's haircut
Did Matt Helt change his hairstyle again?
No, it's just growing out.
to me.
He's doing a story on the influence that you have had on my life.
I'm really good at telling guys what they're doing wrong.
Who wants it?
All you need is one person sitting next to you who will agree with you, and I think that's worked very well for us.
Over the years, more people have started coming with Whitney to games, including his wife and son.
Mark's son, Calvin, is one of the guys. He's a chip off the old block, and we rely on Calvin for scouting reports on the other team.
I bet it's going to end up at number 2.
Oh, curious.
A tradition passed from friend to friend.
Hell yes!
And from generation to generation. From the Bradley Center, Andrew Goldstein, Marquette Wire Sports.
Use all the rim. It's not like we're taking it with us.
From Luke Fisher's hair to beating Villanova last year, thank you to the Bradley Center for the 30 years, and thanks to the fans that make every game very special. So let's talk a little bit more women's action here. They're currently losing still. It's not looking great for them. They're down by double digits. But what are the positives you can take away from this? Obviously, it's going to sting for a little bit, but it's still quite the accomplishment. This core is still going to be together next year. They're all going to be seniors. Unless Blockton decides to go to the WNBA draft, which she very well might. Yeah, she's definitely good enough.
Totally.
She's been compared to some players and talked about, so we'll see. Right. The score is currently 83-48, so it's not too hot down in the Windy City. Getting a little windy down there, huh?
It's ugly.
Well, that's all the time we have for tonight, so thank you for joining us on Golden Eagle Sports Report. I'm Kevin Wells.
And I'm Alex Milbrath. And we'll see you after spring break. So please, get out of Milwaukee and go somewhere warm.
I plan on it.